You heard earlier how Alex got the call at 10 a.m. and to come down here, and he didn't know that much about fintech. He said, well, at 10:01, I got a phone call saying, I got to be funny tonight. Can you please be funny? And I was like, well, it's not like we're an interest rate company or an accounting cloud company. I mean, those are inherently funny companies. I mean, we're going to talk to you about disability and technology, accessibility. It's not really that funny. I said, tell me a little bit more about the audience. And he says, it's a fintech crowd. He goes, I don't really know fintech, but so when you say fintech, this crowd is not what comes to mind. This is when I hear fintech, I read about it every day. I guess we deal with it. I don't think of this crowd. I don't think of your technologies. What comes to my mind, I'm a bit of a prankster, and I have a little bit of a drone sort of fascination too, although I haven't taken the plunge to buy one. When I think of fintech though, and I'm always not the first one to have thought about this is what I think of. How funny is that? Is that funny? Listen, if somebody's done that joke before, I didn't steal it from them. I came up with it from first principles, I promise you. All right, my name's Simon Dermer. This is my co-founder, Spiro Papathanasakis, and we're with a company called eSSENTIAL Accessibility. What we do is we basically help brands enhance the customer experience for people with disability, and we do it by making technology accessible. So we're going to give you a quick overview today. As developers of platforms, solutions, mobile apps, we want to educate you on paying attention to disability, why it's important. It's not just about regulations, it's about people. I'm going to give you some quick context and show you a few bells and whistles on what's going on out there. So first of all, when you talk about disability, people tend to think, it's a little tiny group of people, it's not that many. Well, that's not true. 1 in 5 individuals self-identifies as having a disability, and especially since this is a fintech crowd, there's an attitude that, well, they don't really have any money, do they? Well, no, that's not true. Even on average, the socioeconomic capabilities and income is lower than the typical average statistic for the population, but nevertheless, people with disabilities are investing in products, they're spending money, they're just not doing it to the same degree on average as the able-bodied folks. So big market out there. That's one of the reasons, key reason to pay attention. For those of you who are really tech savvy in this audience, when you're building your properties, your digital properties, very important you code them in accordance with the W3C standards. And primarily what that means is follow guidelines. You may have heard of something called WCAG 2.0. Not going to get into that here, but follow the guidelines, make it friendly so that people who are blind, who are vision impaired, hearing impaired, they can interact with your products and they can utilize technologies in association with them. We also have another piece of technology that we include in our value proposition to our clients that goes above and beyond that, where what we do is we incorporate a solution into a number of products, particularly the websites, mobile apps, that basically renders these environments accessible to people like Stephen Hawking, who may not have the benefit of a team from Intel that comes down and designs a system for him because he's the smartest man in the world. So we're going to show you a success story of some of the institutions that leverage our capabilities, what it allows them to do. So I'm going to hand it over to Spiro, who's going to show you those examples.
All right, thanks, Simon. So I'll take you through a couple of examples very quickly here. Let's go into some apropos ones here. So here's Canadian Bankers Association, and here's this icon down here in the corner. And you can see we chose an icon that instantly says technology and accessibility. We thought by combining the wheelchair with technology, it would be obvious what that means. So here's a couple more partners. There it is on Merck. Let's go to MasterCard, and I'll show you MasterCard, and there's the icon again. And Interac, scroll down here very quickly, there's that icon. So we thought, you know what, let's create something that's easy for people to find, instantly says accessibility, and away they go. And what happened was organizations across Canada and the US said, wow, you know what, you guys are doing something that not only allows us to do something that, you know, regulatory-wise is great, we're doing the right thing, but it helps us connect meaningfully with customers. So that icon was a connection to the technology that Simon's talking about, assistive technology that is readily available for anyone to download at no cost from our partner sites, the MasterCards, the Macy's, Tim Hortons, Canadian Tire, and Shoppers Drug Mart. So many iconic brands have come together to make this a successful initiative. Okay, so when you click the icon, you can see here we talk all about the great things, in this case, that MasterCard is doing, allows people to download the technology free of charge, and away they go. So let's go to the technology very quickly. So once you download it, this is what the interface looks like. And what it does is really cool stuff, allowing people to automatically click, automatically use their content, their website, without having to even touch the screen or touch their mouse and keyboard. So in other words, it's assistive technology right up to and including what Simon said, Stephen Hawking type solutions. So let me show you rather than talk about it. I'm going to click here and back up. So you can see me on the screen. The webcam quickly locks onto me, and in about 3 seconds, I can now interact with the site completely hands-free. So I can go to business, consumers, government. I can do whatever anybody else can do, but I can do it hands-free. And I can have it read out. Let's go to consumers. I can click just by hovering over a link, and you can see that. So basically, you know, if I couldn't use my hands, I could still navigate MasterCard or any other site in the world. And so, and again, it's at no cost. Stephen Hawking gets to do this, but Intel gives probably tens of thousands of dollars every year to make that happen. So we've combined all these different solutions, from what you just saw there to voice commands to automated keyboards for typing. And again, we packaged it all in one app and said, wow, you know what if we can get this into the hands of people that need it at no cost? But let's take another step and say, instead of us making that happen, let's get brands to do that. You know, let's get the different financial services institutions, healthcare companies, retailers, and e-commerce. And basically, we've got over 150 partners now across North America, Brazil, and multinationals that take us across Europe as well. Back to you.
So basically, again, you're designing these technologies, you're bringing them to market, you want to make them disability friendly, you want to resonate not just with people with disabilities, also their friends and family members. Some growing body of research that's showing people patronize the brands that are inclusive. We're hearing all about it. You're hearing all about diversity, employing people with disabilities. When you're building your properties, test them, make sure you're coding them properly, make them disability friendly, and where feasible, incorporate technologies that plug the gaps to make sure that nobody's left behind. If you have any questions, you know, we're around and happy to answer anything. Plus anything else.
Do you in any way regard people who are getting older as being people who might benefit from this kind of technology, and perhaps specifically the baby boomer generation?
I'm not good at the labels Generation X, Boomer. I don't know the age brackets, but I'll say that with seniors, certainly over the stat is something like 50% of people over the age of 70 or 72 have some form of a limitation that technically constitutes a disability. Excuse me, it falls into that statistic of the 1 in 5. Oh, excuse me.
Right.
We come from the healthcare sector, and so we treat people who are, what would answer that?
So we came from the healthcare sector and realized in treating people who have become disabled, a lot of times organizations would think of them as patients and not as customers and not as, you know, everything else that we think of. So we thought, let's try and remove labels. And even when we talk about disability and we, you know, talk about characterizations like MS, CP, Parkinson's, aging population, and so on, we only do that from a context of letting everybody understand the possibilities with technology. But when it comes to brands and organizations, we wanted to show them what an opportunity to take 19 or 17% of the population, depending on the numbers, US, Canada, and so on, and turn them into your customers, and obviously create an awareness and also a connection, a meaningful connection through technology that says, hey, you know what, we'll help you overcome any limitation and go online and do whatever you want to do, e-commerce and so on. Is it regulation that's driving the agenda? Is that kind of the question? Sure. Yeah, good question. So everyone's probably familiar with AODA. So Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act does regulate the fact that you should build your content with accessibility in mind. That is called Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG. So yes, you build your website content with accessibility in mind. There's a bunch of success criteria, and we actually test for that. We have actually expert people with disabilities who use different technologies, and we test digital content to make sure that it does meet the AODA guidelines, and the technology is known as a communication support as well. So think of it as having a virtual wheelchair. Think of it as building a good environment from the digital standpoint. They come together to create a robust experience for everyone and not leave anybody behind, which somebody else said again tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.